All right, topic 4-4. We're cruising right along in this unit, and as we look at this, we're looking at the distributive property and how it applies to different kinds of equations. This, of course, is making use of variables also, though, and how to properly do this, right? And so what's really going to expand beyond your previous knowledge is we're going to start to use multiple variables in our distributions and how to work with this then. So what do we have here? It says distribute this idea, x times the quantity -2 minus 0.5y. So to do this, we're going to do what we all love to do. We're going to use our terms. So we have our x and we have our -2, and right away I'm going to put parentheses around my second term within that parentheses, which looks like that, and I'm going to throw a plus sign up there because I put parentheses around everything, and that's important. Now, distributive property says I'm going to take the x and multiply it by this, and then I'm going to take the x again and multiply it by my second term. All right, so let's go ahead and do that, shall we? Sounds good. All right, let's do it then. I'm glad you're agreeing with me. So x times our first term, which was a -2, would give us an answer of -2x. We're going to arrange that so the coefficient is front. And then our x times 0.5, y, is, right, so you have -0.5 y times x. Now you can see here you got three kind of distinct things. You got the 5, you got the y, and you got the x. None of them are the same, so they're not really going to be combined, like becoming squared or adding numbers in, like it's not going to become 1.5, anything like that, because they're all kind of different, right? One's a number and two different expressions. So instead, we're just going to keep it as if it was a multiplication problem, right? We're going to start with our coefficient, 0.5, and then as if it's a multiplication problem, right? X, y. And we're going to go x. X is going to go in front of y because we want to keep things nice and orderly in alphabetical order. But in the end, we get an answer. We get -2x minus 0.5xy. All right, we're going to get a lot of wonderful little phrases and terminology like that. All right, let's double check our work. Make sure we did it right. And we did. Nailed it. All right, here's one for you to try, and I'll see you at example 3. Okay, example 3 says, okay, here's, whoa, bigger quantity, 1/3 times this long expression. So there's actually two ways we can do this, so we're going to talk about both of them real quickly. Step number 1 would be what we've been doing this entire lesson, and just go ahead and distribute this. So remember, we have our terms, right? We got our 1/3, and we're going to multiply that 1/3 times everything. So I'm just going to throw it down there 3 times, right? -1/3. So I'm going to multiply that times. Right, now we're going to write our other terms. First term is a +2, so I'm just going to write it like that. And our second term is a -3x, so -3x in parentheses. And then, of course, our third term is a +3, or just plain. I ran out of room on my screen, so we're going to write it like that. And of course, then, it's like adding all these three together in the end. And so we can simplify, right? So -1/3 times 2 is going to be -2/3. I'm not writing my 3's very good right now. And then -1/3 times -3x. Basically, we're going to multiply these numbers together, and x is going to stay the same. So x stays there. And 1/3 times 3 is 1, and a negative times a negative is a positive. Boom! So we can throw a 1 there, or we can really just leave it alone because 1 times x is x. All right, let's do it. Let's get rid of it. You like the sound effects? Okay, you don't like it? Fine, I won't do them. And then 1/3 times 3, of course, we already determined is 1, but now we have a positive, and a negative, so we're going to have a negative 1 left over, and I'm going to throw some parentheses around there. Scrolling down as we continue on with this problem then. And so now we have these terms, right? We got this, we got plus an x, and then we got a negative 1. So we can actually take these two and put them together as if they're bestie friends, right? So fraction 2/3 plus a negative 1, and we're going to scratch that 1 out and make it 3/3 because we need common denominators, making sure we're keeping that negative in there. And so that gives us 5/3, negative 5/3, and we'll bring our x from right here back down to finish off our problem. Step number 1, process number 1, solve. But that's just one way to look at it. All right, well, what's the other way? We're going to get the big eraser. That's not really what a chalkboard sounds like, or any board sounds like. It just seemed fitting. Okay, if we start back at the beginning, we remember that we had these big old parentheses right here and right here separating out our problem. So we had 2 minus 3x plus 3 in parentheses. And instead of going ahead and distributing right away this negative 1/3, let's actually follow order of operation, do inside parentheses first, and combine like terms inside the parentheses first. And so by doing that, we are able then to take our rearrange, right? So here's one term. Then we're going to add a 3, and then we're going to add our third term is negative 3x, like that. And so 2 plus 3 is going to give us a 5. So with that being said, oh man, she's rewritten the problem. It's just a giant mess now. Now we have this expression. We have 5 minus 3x times that negative 1/3. And now we're going to distribute and multiply. So 1/3 times 5, right? We're going to take this times this. And then, of course, we're going to take this times this, right? So our first expression is 1/3, negative 1/3 times 5, which gives us negative 5/3. And then, of course, we're going to take 1/3, negative 1/3, and we're going to multiply by negative 3x. And 1/3 times 3 equals 1. Negative times negative equals positive, so that's 1. And x remains. And of course, we don't need that 1 because anything times 1 is that. So we'd have a positive x. And just like last time, we come away with an answer of that. Though to be honest, I would say that the x should come first, and our answer really should be x minus 5/3. But I guess that argument comes a different day. All right, let's double check our work. One way, ding, 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 right? Distribute, distribute, distribute. Simplify, good. Another way, solve inside the parentheses, distribute. Huh. Pretty good. All right, here's one for you. If you have any questions, bring them to class. I'll see you then.